Let's try this again. I recorded like 15 minutes of a rant about World of Warcraft and loss of subscribers, and I apparently was talking into the wrong mic. So, yeah, I have two mics. I have a webcam mic. Yes, I have a webcam! And, the mic to my, the actual mic. I unfortunately didn't have the right mic turned on. So, it sounded like I was halfway across the room. Way to go! Anyways, Sploinks here, and, I have to admit that, Wowcrendor made a video about WoW subscribers and the dropping of numbers again, and how, big ideals being made about it, and, oh my gosh, more subscribers are dropping. One thing that he didn't bring up is that a reason why it's being more attention to being brought to it again this time around is because it's happened right after the big buyback Blizzard did from their parent company in France. It was $6 billion that they bought their company back for. And so with the loss of subscribers, that means they're not going to be making as much money back, and as quickly as they would probably like. So people are like, oh, wow, it's going to die. But okay, to be honest, it's just news. It's something that people can say, oh, and try to get the community riled up about, and try to get it's basically like the news that you see on TV where they're like, oh, look at this, Jennifer Lopez is now wearing purple pants. But purple pants, oh god. But it's a way that people can bring attention and revenue and flow to their things, and it also gives the player base something to talk about, because it is something to bring to light. I mean, and it is something to point out that World of Warcraft isn't as popular as it once was, which is fine, and it's normal because it's been out for years, and some people started playing when they were in middle school or high school, and over that time people change, and responsibilities change hands, getting jobs, starting families, getting married, blah 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 blah. And for those, and in another sense, some people just picked up other games that they would prefer to play. I mean, it's just, the thing is that people have, one big reason that people play World of Warcraft, or any MMO for that matter, is to play with other people. And if you don't have the same people that you were playing with before, you tend to not want to play it as much, if at all. I mean, any MMO isn't a great single player game. And if someone wants to argue with me about that, by all means, I will say, if you point out, oh, this MMO, it has a great single player story, it has a great single player blah blah blah, and I will say, and I will point out, the loss of subscribers that they have, or the game itself didn't last very long, or isn't doing as well. The most recent Star Wars MMO, one of their biggest selling points, besides the voice acting, which they spent an absurd amount of money on, was that they had this great motivation. Your character was a unique snowflake, had this great story behind him or her, and this would be your main motivation to want to go out and into the world. Well, the thing is that it's not a single player game, it's an MMO, and if you it's not a great the game itself, the Star Wars MMO wasn't. The first one that they came out with years and years ago was it was good, but the most recent ones, I can't even remember the name of it. God bless it. It didn't do very well, and I think one of the problems that it had was that it focused too much on the single player mindset. It's not a single player game. It's not a good single player game. It doesn't have single player games have ends, and when you invest that much money into a massive multiplayer online game and you want to make it back, you have to include more multiplayer encouragement. Guild Wars 2 had that, those groups that you could randomly get into to do random encounters and such. But it still had a big, oh, here's your single player story thing. And it's no, you want to be able to encourage other people to play with each other, to help each other out and stuff. And it's just, I don't know. It just World of Warcraft had that right, and they didn't focus on the single player. They focused on having group events and group quests and group this and that, and that's why their end content was doing so well, because they had raids, and they had multiple raids. They had multiple reasons for people to group up and like play with each other. Unfortunately, I think they've started steering away from that with the recent expansions. And that's one of the reasons why they're struggling now. It's not huge, but maybe I'm wrong, and I mean, by all means, you can correct me if I am wrong. And I just dropped a sock. Yeah, I am folding socks while I am talking, because what better time to do laundry than while you're talking on your mic recording. Yep. But anyway, it's still, like, World of Warcraft is still fun, but it's a lot better, it's a lot more fun when you find people to play with. I mean, maybe I'm different in that sense, but I feel like that's one big reason why it's struggling, is because there's less reasons for us to play with each other. I mean, dailies are a terrible grind. I feel like I have to agree with what a lot of people, including Wowcrendor, had mentioned, is that there's way too many dailies that demand your time and not enough reward off of it. I know BC had like a huge daily grind, but nobody wants to do dailies. The Isle of Thunder dailies, they were fun to an extent. It's just, if they were ridiculously hard. They're, even with top rating tier gear, there's just some parts they're so long and they're so grindy, and it's not easy for someone who just hit 90 to go out there and do those single player instances, which they can be fun, but they're not easy. They're not even encouragingly difficult. They're if you mess up, and if you don't I encourage to teach people not to stand in fire. There's a couple of parts in the single player instances which encourage you not to, it's basically mimicking raid mechanics. Don't stand in stuff. You have to interrupt certain things. But there's a lot of people who just fail at that. That's just not something they just aren't good at doing. It's including myself. It's oh, I didn't hit that button right when I was supposed to. I only had 2-second window. Oh, well, that sucks. And admittedly, the single player instances are easier for some classes, especially ones that more tanky classes, and definitely for the pet classes. Hunters get those easy, I guess. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it's just maybe I'm just complaining too much and going off of my own personal, weaknesses, because I am bad. I'm not by all any means some star WoW player that can do anything that they put their mind to. I struggle just as probably more than some people, because I'm not the best, but it's still something. Even I don't know. I just know that there's far less people for even people to play with, and they're coming up with and that's just a big complaint that my friends have, is they have nothing to do with anybody, so they just go find a better single player game to play. And there are a lot of fun single player games, and there's a lot of fun multiplayer games. Look at Trine 2. I know that it wasn't the best game ever, and I know that it was released a year or two ago, but it was still it was still fun to play, and it was still something to change things up. I know it's fun to play Minecraft together with other people, and definitely maybe I should make a video about that. Yeah, adventure maps and shit like that. That's fun. Especially some of the zombie they're really creative. Some of the maps that people come up with, and there's some healthy Minecraft communities out there, and it has such a huge window for creativity. And there's no subscription fee whatsoever. I will say that League of Legends is also like fun. I can only do that sparingly because maybe I'm just like a weenie, and my I don't I'm not the best player. I'm still learning. I like I'm not very good at it, and I'm trying to learn, and but I only can I'm not necessarily scared, but I'm kind of intimidated by playing by myself because just I've the community can be so vile and mean, and just like they go out of their way to just be dumb. And and the multiplayer like aspect of League of Legends is so heavily reliant on teamwork that if you have that one person who decides to be the dick waffle and go grill themselves by I think it's feeding, yeah, feeding the other team, then the entire team is screwed over. So it's, I mean, you go from like a single player esque game where in World of Warcraft, I mean, you have that leniency, like if you're in a 5-man group and you have that bad DPS, you can manage. If your healer's not the best but you're a competent tank, you can still squeegee by. There's some leniency with that. If you have a bad teammate in League of Legends, unless you're like a supremely good player, which I am not, um, I can't carry I can't carry anybody for that matter, but it's just so hard. And it's like you're so heavily reliant on your teammates to not be dumb, and well, at least in PvP matches. I mean, bot matches are a little bit more lenient, but like not everybody. Not like bot matches become really boring because they're so predictable, and they can they're not easy but they're not hard. They're just learning experiences. Yeah. We'll not talk about bot matches, but I think League of Legends is fun. Minecraft is fun. There are other fun games to play. It's just but in World of Warcraft is just not as much fun as it used to be. I mean, it's some like I can always remember what something a friend of mine said, that is just something to do, and you find if someone says that about your game, it's just something to do, then you're doing something wrong. You want to give people a better reason to play World of Warcraft. You want them to have fun. You want them to want to play because they're playing the game, not for it to just to be something to do. And because if it becomes something to do, when someone finds something better to do, then they're not going to play it as much. And yeah, I don't know what else to say though. I do suppose I should say, well, thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to my little rant. I hope everyone has a great day, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.